Drea Humphrey with Rebel News on December 1st, standing inside of the Ned DeBeck room in the BC legislature. Why am I here? Well, if you look at the sign behind me, there is a room full of people in this room gathering to watch One BC's documentary that is screening today. It's called Making a Killing, and it's set to expose what the leader of that party, Dallas Brody, calls the reconciliation industry. Some of you might not know that Miss Brody, before being an MLA, actually also was a public servant. She was a lawyer. And this documentary is set to expose how lawyers and others have been getting away with using tax dollars and abusing them in the name of reconciliation. I'm actually in the documentary, at least I think I am. I was interviewed for it. And others like Dr. Francis Widdowson, who is a co-contributor to the book Grave Error, which came out in 2023 to help expose, just like our documentary in 2022, Kamloops, The Buried Truth did, expose the false unmarked grave claims that started in Kamloops and then swept across the country. That is one concern that has impacted Canadians in many different ways that One BC leader Dallas Brody has stood by when it comes to exposing. So we're going to catch up with her, see what she hopes people take away from this documentary. And we're going to watch it. Then we're going to talk to people what they thought about it. And then we're going to show you a little bit of a panel that's taking place tonight as well.
I want raised awareness about DRIPA, UNDRIP, and the whole story of what's been going on with the background to the residential schools and the story behind the Kamloops graves, non-graves, and so on. And really, it's about raising awareness and explaining to people there's more to the story than they've been told. It's super important that we pursue truth, and we're making a lot of policy these days based on things that aren't true. And that is a really unstable way to move forward as a province, and it's affecting our economy. It's affecting people's engagement with the political system. We have to get to the bottom of some of these things and start from there. And everybody has good hearts, but we need to start saying it's a time for people to be able to speak truthfully about these issues. Makingakilling.ca is our website for this. It's also going to be on YouTube and on my X account. So it's Making a Killing doc is on YouTube, and then makingakilling.ca is our website. Okay. And then it'll be also released on X.
This is Drew Coover. Now, why was it important to come to this screening?
I have a family that was, my aunt was a nun at the Kamloops Residential School. My other aunt was a nun at the Mackenzie Residential School. My Nana, who are their two sisters, she went to school here to become a nurse. And ever since Dallas has started speaking up, I grew up in Prince George. This is my town. This is my province. This is my love. These are my people. We're all together. But the stuff that I've seen and the stuff that I've heard is just not true.
I think there's a lot of misinformation going around in the public. I know I was downtown when the statue got torn down of Sir J. Donald in front of the Empress Hotel there, and a lot of the other statues that have been destroyed, the threats of church arsons. I know that in Victoria we have a wooden church, and I know police took a very key interest in watching it during the entire claim out of what was happening in Kamloops. And there's so many young people in the community that come out to various protests, whether it's for old growth or whether it's for Palestine or whether it's from some other cause, whether it's trans rights. And they conflate what they believe or they've been told occurred in Kamloops and then try to elevate other protest movements as if that they're somehow relevant to what's going on with the claims in Kamloops. And it's getting a lot of individuals trapped in a cycle where they are actively becoming agitated, aggressive, confrontational, and hostile towards the general public who really just want to know the truth.
We can be the greatest place to live, or we can descend into ruin.
So what is this narrative? Is it true? And if it's not, what will it cost us to live by a lie?
What do you think of the film? Do you recommend it?
Yes, it needs to be spread far and wide as soon as possible so that people are aware of the dangers that is going on in this country.
It's so informative. It's got information on there that I've been trying to tell people, but they just don't listen. Now, I think once they see it on film, they're going to finally realize that, yes, that is the facts.
Drea Humphrey was one of the first reporters on the scene in 2012. The majority of reports.
So, Drea, when did you think that there was something not quite right about the whole official story?
Well, this was a huge story for BC. The whole world was watching. So I got here just to cover what everybody else was, that the remains of 215 children had been discovered. But very quickly, as you would think all journalists would find, there was a lack of evidence in that statement. I had interviewed people who had attended the school before. I asked them if they were aware of graves. None of them were. They found out with everyone else. And I sat and I looked over that and saw that we needed more answers and something wasn't quite right.
Drea wasn't the only one to investigate the discovery, and she wasn't the only one to come up with missing evidence on the critical points of the claims.
I think what stood out for me the most is I felt so betrayed by our political leaders, because I do think Canadians have so much goodwill towards the Indigenous people, and we wanted to work. We ached, frankly, for the heartache of the children growing up. But I felt bit by bit angrier and angrier. I'm sorry to say that, but I was angry and angrier at the betrayal and the cowardice of our political leaders.
There was so many things that I didn't know, that I don't know when I came here, and when I watched the show, I have to watch it probably 3 times. The last part of it, there was so many different segments that I was like, oh, wait a second, can you press rewind? I have to watch this thing 3 or 4 times. I can't affirm there's so many things in it that were new to me. And I thought I knew a lot.
This documentary was so professionally done. You can't argue with any of it in there. It's not catering to extremists. It's catering to the normies in society, the people who just don't know the truth about what's going on. There's been a lot of lies told about this whole issue, considering the mass graves, but also considering property rights, the treaties that are going on. People have no idea what's happening now to our own houses in British Columbia, because technically, basically every house in this province will be contested at some point by Aboriginal claims. When you teach kids every day in school that we are existing on unceded, stolen land, you raise this generation of activists up where they get into politics, and we're seeing this come to fruition now where they're trying to take away private property rights. So this was just very effective in getting the truth out there, and that's the first step in trying to undo a lot of the mayhem that's going on, because until people know the truth, they can't do anything about it.
I have to say the part that really upset me the most and moved me was the interview she did with a Musqueam band member, and how he said if you speak out about any of the corruption, they can kick you off the reserve. You know, not only do they fire people who work for the band if they speak out, but just people living on the reserve, if they speak out about corruption, can be kicked off the reserve.
Most people won't ask questions because they're afraid of the pushback and the blowback from the chief. So they really have no way of addressing the situation, and they're afraid to.
What could that blowback be?
They can try and take your house away from you. They can do an investigation of you to try and kick you off the reserve. If you're working for the band office, they'll have you fired the very next day. I know 3 different people that's happened to.
What kind of democracy is that? And so we're handing the ability for there to be more sovereignty, but the members are saying that they can't speak out about corruption because there isn't a system set in place to protect them.
The amount of funds that were given to children just on their word, oh, this happened to me, so they got that much money. This happened to me, so you get 20 grand. This happened to me, so you get 30 grand. That shocked me. Like, it's like they had a scale of all the different things that might have happened, or whatever you say happened to you, And then, like it said in the document, well, the one brother said he got hit by a puck in hockey. So the other brother said he got hit by a puck in hockey too because he got 10 grand.
Chris Elston, better known as Billboard Chris. Now, you actually make an appearance in there. For those who haven't seen the documentary yet, what's one of the points you raise in the documentary?
So when it comes to my issue, which is giving kids puberty blockers, cross-sex hormone surgeries under this teaching that they were born in the wrong body, this teaching of gender ideology, what's going on in British Columbia is that more than 500 kids in state care are being transitioned. We know this because a psychologist for the BC Ministry of Children and Family Development, Wallace Wong, spoke at the Vancouver Public Library in 2019 when he said he was transitioning more than 1,000 kids, including 500 in state care. There are only 6,000 kids in state care in British Columbia. 500 back then were being transitioned, and when you look at the stats, 68% of those kids are Indigenous. So kids of all races are being harmed again today, but we have all this controversy about the harm that was done to Indigenous children in the past. Well, it's being done today and nobody's talking about it.
But I also didn't expect this. Being swarmed by Canadians indicting themselves for charges of mass murder, or having to take on an industry ready to exploit their guilt.
It matters, right? Because we want the truth to be. We want the truth on this.
But that's where I found myself, confronting stories that could not be questioned. Narratives manufactured to siphon wealth and power from open-hearted citizens.
When I saw the amount of people showing up to counter-protest, and they claim to be peaceful counter-protesters, the amount of anger and aggression that these young people are showing, somebody who's simply saying, let's talk about the information, let's have that conversation. And you'll see a lot of times, the people on the left will say, oh, let's have a conversation. But what they mean is, we want you to listen. And what was shocking is there's no listening. Even when you look at the First Nations, you've got Chief Stuart Phillips, who's actually married to an MLA who's part of the NDP. If that's not a little bit suspicious as to how this whole program's working, I don't know what is. So what's shocking is how the young generation do not have the capacity to ask simple questions.
This is Jim Heller. He's a local lawyer, a criminal defense lawyer who we've interviewed before, and you were featured in the documentary.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, but why were you in there?
Well, so I guess what happened is that I brought a resolution at the Law Society to correct our mandatory Indigenous intercultural course to water down the strong claim that they'd found 215 kids. That just wasn't the case, and I knew that. And there was a Court of Appeal case that said that. So I'd written to the Law Society 4 times to change the course, and they never did it. The course spoke as if they found these kids. But the Court of Appeal says potential is the right word. It's a totally accurate and fair qualifier to put on the unmarked graves. Yep. And that's really kind of the heart of the story here. This is what made me have to respond. Another lawyer and I brought a resolution to get them to change the course, to add the word potential to the claim of 215 kids, which is a very generous kind of proposal. I actually, by that point, I'd read Grave Area. I didn't think there were really any kids. I don't now. But I thought, that'll make it simple. It'll align with what the Court of Appeal said. That'll all be really good. So the Law Society, they freaked out. They're really, it's just true. They're like very kind of smitten with a certain ideological perspective. And to say the least. So the BC First Nations Justice Council, which is a thing, look it up, they put out their own press release on September 10th, in between when we filed it and the AGM. And they called us racist and all sorts of things like that. And so the next day, the Law Society put out its own, and they piggybacked on it, and they said the same thing. And so then we had the resolution, did the AGM. We almost won. We got 48% of the vote. And then we demanded an apology. You don't call lawyers racist. It's not very nice. And they hemmed and hawed. They ultimately decided to not apologize. So I sued them.
All right, this is Veronica. She's from Souk, and you just told me something in this screening here I hadn't heard of. Tell us what's got you bothered about what's going on there.
Well, Sioux Council wants to pass a new official community plan. The official community plan, which we loosely call the OCP, is supposed to be about land management. And this OCP is more than 230 pages long, and it seeks to legislate all aspects of life in Sioux. So it will be it'll mean a huge bureaucracy and huge government overreach. However, without going into too many details, one of my biggest concerns is the first page of it acknowledges that Sioux is on unceded territories, and then there's a statement that we'll have to make very big changes to restore the land and the rights and all of that to the Indigenous people. Well, I was contacted by someone that said, wait a second, Sioux is not unceded land. It is part of treaty land as southern Vancouver Island is. So I wrote this to the council, and I haven't heard back about that. And so it's not only about changing that one phrase either, because the entire document is shaped around restoring the rights to the Indigenous people who have this land. And so it will affect everything we do in Sioux. And then, of course, it creates different classes of people. So it's a great concern to me. Our public meeting is on Wednesday night at the council chambers in Sioux, starting at 6, where the public will speak about it. And I think people have many concerns about this, not just that, but that is one of my principal concerns.
Well, I think with what's going on in the province, people are noticing something is suspicious about this whole reconciliation industry. I think they're ready, a lot of them, to watch something like this. But what message do you have from them going from watching to maybe taking action?
Well, I know for me, the first thing I had to do was recover my pride in Canada. My parents are immigrants, one from Germany and one from England, and they had terrible childhoods. And my dad grew up in Nazi Germany. I mean, it was terrible, and they came here with nothing. And my mom always used to say, Canada is the very best place in the whole world to live. And she was so proud of it, and I had been instilled in that, and I felt bit by bit that had been taken from me. So it was kind of an emotional thing to rediscover that my pride in this country and what we've stood for and what we've created and the goodwill of the Canadian people. And then I need to say it. I need to speak up. If I don't have the courage, who will? So that's what I would say is rediscover who we are as Canadians, that we built a great society here, and that it's a rare, rare thing to have a country that respects equal rights, respects all individuals, and we can build this together. So you rediscover that, and then you get the courage to speak up against what's wrong.
Unlike the past where we relied on legacy media to get the truth out there, they're irrelevant, they're not going to share any of this, so it's up to us to get this seen by millions. And I'm very confident that it is going to be seen by millions. I know a lot of big accounts out there, when they eventually watch this, are going to retweet it. But to get them to watch it, it's best to take a clip, 2 minutes, tweet that out, then put the whole movie underneath, and we'll get this seen. And from that point on, really, we can't change any of these people at the top. All these politicians at the top that are pushing this, we need to forget about trying to change their minds. That will never happen. We have to vote them out. But to vote them out, we got to get the truth out there first. So just share this far and wide.
There are many of us out there that speak to a lot of people on a regular basis. Yourself, Billboard Tris, myself, we speak to people, Dallas Brody, Tara Armstrong. The vast majority of people outside of the echo chamber of social media or in the mob mentality know what's going on is wrong and do not agree with it. We are braver than we think. You have more support than you believe there is. And together, if we just say enough is enough, this little 5% of the population that has the biggest social media presence, they don't represent the 95% of people who all seem to think the same way. Talk to your neighbors, speak to your friends, speak to your family. You'd actually be amazed at how many people share your views. You'd be surprised. It's a lot.
Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News, where we don't back down from bringing you the other side of the story, and that includes reporting on reconciliation overreach. If you appreciate the work that we do and want to help us be able to continue to do so, please consider taking action and donating what you can at stopundrip.com.